What's up everybody? Today I'll be reviewing the Post Shotgun in Respawnables. This weapon is a zombie tagged fire based scoped shotgun which you unlock at level 1 and it costs 500 zombie knights. As you can see, here are the weapon's main stats: 3 damage, 3 range, 3 accuracy and 3 agility. I'll also be covering some other stats of this weapon in this review, so without further ado, let's jump into the first match. In this review, I'll be using a Pocket Gamer article, which contains some exclusive information about some of the stats of this weapon, given to them by Digital Legends. So the ones that they mention are damage, rate of fire, range, ammo, and reload time. So let's start off with the ammo capacity. This weapon holds 6 rounds in the clip, which is decent. Personally, I find this to be a little bit more on the lower side of things, but still should do the job. So now we'll move on to the damage. According to the article, the Post Shotgun's damage comes in at 240. This weapon also deals damage over time. However, the additional fire damage is sadly not mentioned in the article, so I'm unable to give you an official number on that. But from my own experience, it seems to be about the same as most fire weapons that I have at least. And as you've probably seen already, this weapon shoots pellets just like most shotguns do, and these pellets are of course the thing that causes the fire damage, so the overall damage type is considered fire in this case, as they prioritize that over the pellets, making the shotgun icon red instead of the purple one. So with all of this, whether the stats are 100% accurate or not, this weapon deals incredibly high damage and is easily capable of one-shotting players depending on their level of health of course and the range at which you engage at, since this weapon also has damage drop-off just like most weapons in the game. Now do keep in mind that the damage drop-off only affects your impact damage, not your additional fire damage, so that stays the exact same no matter from what range you attack at. So let's talk a little bit more about the range, which comes in at 50 meters, and this is actually twice as much as the distance that is required to get a long range kill. So now let's talk about this weapon's accuracy, which is pretty good. Most of the time the rounds go exactly where you're aiming at. However, sometimes one of the rounds might go in a completely different direction. This is what I call the shotgun inconsistency, as it appears only in shotguns. I might have a separate video about that in the future. Let me know if you would like to see that. The precision is pretty random, seeing how this weapon does have a lot of different shot patterns, but it doesn't really make it any harder to hit people because of course this weapon does shoot multiple pellets at once, making it very easy to hit people. And the spread of the pellets is a little bit smaller than most shotguns that I have at least. And now I'll give you my first tip with this weapon, and that's to not increase its accuracy with any accuracy increasing equipment, seeing how this does not reduce your weapon's spread, making it a useless thing to equip. The Post Shotgun also comes equipped with a scope. Now with most weapons the scope helps with precision, but as I've already said, you cannot increase this weapon's accuracy, therefore you cannot increase this weapon's precision, making the scope a useless thing to use. The design of the scope is the red dot design, and the zoom or magnification level is level 1. This just means that this scope, alongside some other scopes, is in the category with the worst zoom or magnification level in the game. This scope, just like some other scopes, severely reduces the strength of your auto aim, and it also makes getting headshots with this weapon a lot easier. One thing that's interesting about the scope that I don't think is present with any other scope in the game is that if you're reloading, you can still be scoped in. Now on to the agility, which is fairly good. It only took about 11.5 seconds to reach from one side of roll garden to the other, which is my agility test. According to the article, the Post Shotgun's fire rate is 2.5 rounds per second. However, I found this to be quite a bit less at only about 1.04 rounds per second. So to empty your entire 6-round clip, it will take about 5.75 seconds, and then you'll have to reload of course, which will take about 5 seconds, not 1.7 seconds like the article mentions. This weapon does reload every shot individually, and the first shot to reload always takes a little bit longer than the other ones, at about 1.15 seconds, while any other shot takes about 0.75 seconds each. And my guess is that this is the reason why you don't get scoped out while reloading with this weapon while using the scope. Finally, the Post Shotgun's velocity is an instant hit, so you shouldn't have to worry about having to shoot ahead of the enemy. Just make sure that your crosshairs are on them, and unless you have that shotgun inconsistency that I was talking about, you should be able to hit them every time. And it looks like we're at the end of the first match, and we got 38 kills and 8 deaths, which I would call a pretty good score. So now for the second match, we're in Snow Village, which is a mid-range map. Personally, I think that this weapon is best used in mid to long range maps where it can create some distance from the close range weapons, which usually allow you to move a bit faster. And also that this weapon doesn't have that much damage drop off at long range is also beneficial. In this match, we have a lot of the same enemies that we had in the previous one, and they're pretty much all using the Soaker Assault Rifle, which every time they hit me with that, my movement speed and reload speed are reduced by 50%, which is very annoying. As I'm sure you've probably noticed already, I'm using different equipment this match. Before, in the previous one, we were using noob clothes, and we weren't using any masteries. This time we're using much better clothes, and we also have the masteries equipped. So I'm using the SF headset, which gives us a 50% damage increase. Then I'm also using the Raggedy Crab, which gives us another 5% damage increase. And it also increases our rate of fire by 5%. Then lastly, for the clothes, we are also using the Celtic Pants, which gives us another damage increase. However, with this one, I'm unaware of how much it actually increases. But if you do know it, please let me know with some proof in the comments. Now, just these clothes buff this weapon already a crazy amount. As I've already said, we are also using the masteries, buffing this weapon even further. So the ones that I am using are Burning Spirit 1, which gives us a 50% accuracy increase while moving. Isn't really effective with this weapon, but I used it anyway. I'm also using Burning Spirit 2, and that gives us a 25% increase in reload speed while moving. And that brings the total reload speed from about 5 seconds to about 3.7 seconds for the entire 6-round clip. The first shot to reload will now take about 0.86 seconds rather than 1.15 seconds, and any other shot will take about 0.54 seconds rather than 0.75 seconds. We are also using Burning Spirit 3, which increases our rate of fire by 25% while moving. This combined with the extra 5% from Raggedy Crab should provide us with an extra 30% fire rate increase. But I've actually only found about a 9% rate of fire increase while using both of these things, bringing the rate of fire from about 1.04 rounds per second to about 1.135 rounds per second. Now, hopefully, Digital Legends fixes this in a future update. Now, with this improved fire rate, the time that it takes to empty your entire 6-round clip goes from about 5.75 seconds to about 5.28 seconds. Now, we're also using Glass Cannon, which increases this weapon's damage by another 100%. Keep in mind that all of these damage boosts also affect your fire damage, so if an enemy doesn't die right away, the additional fire damage that is dealt to them will be much more effective. And lastly, we're also using Zombie Bowl, but that really isn't a buff to the weapon, but it does give our health back that Glass Cannon takes away, but it of course also takes away our automatic regeneration, as you can see on our health bar right now. Now, of course, this is just what I'm using to buff this weapon, and I probably could have made some better decisions myself, but you can obviously use whatever you want, so you don't have to strictly follow my outfits and the masteries that I'm using. Now on to the second tip with this weapon. As you can see right here, I didn't have to reload the entire 6-round clip to kill that guy, so as long as you're holding down the trigger while reloading, if you have reloaded one shot, it will automatically fire that shot. This becomes very effective in tense situations where you really do need to get that shot off as fast as possible. This way you won't waste your time reloading the entire clip. And since there's only 6 rounds, you'll probably end up doing this quite a lot. And this is of course only possible because this weapon reloads every shot individually. And the final tip that I have for you with this weapon is to shoot the enemy spawn shield or immunity shield, because as they come out of it, they'll be met by a huge amount of fire damage because the fire damage does stack. Again, this weapon deals damage over time. You know they'll die, so you can move on to the next enemy, and therefore increasing your kill count. And it looks like we have reached the end of the match. Last one, we got 38 kills and 8 deaths, so let's see how many we get now. 47 kills, 6 deaths, I'm very happy with that. So now on to my final opinion about the post shotgun, and it also looks like we're in the next update apparently, since I forgot to record this in the last one. I'll do better next time, I promise. But anyway, I do like this weapon a lot. I think it is pretty overpowered and doesn't require much skill at all, but it is still very fun to play with. I also like that you immediately unlock this weapon at level 1. However, do keep in mind that it does cost 500 zombie knights, and the average cost of a zombie weapon right now is 320 zombie knights, so this one's a lot more expensive, and it is actually the most expensive zombie weapon as of right now. And I do think that there are better zombie weapons at a lower price than this one, so you might not want to purchase this one first. However, if you really like this weapon and it fits your playstyle and you want it first, that's obviously your decision. But again, the weapon itself is very great. I also really like the design of the weapon. I like the way it looks. The animations aren't really anything special, and the sound of this weapon is the standard shotgun sound. However, I do really like the fire effects while shooting as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought of it with a like or a dislike and some feedback in the comments. If you want to support me and my channel, please consider subscribing, sharing this video at my channel with anybody who likes this type of content. That's it. That's all. Bye.